boy Aaron. Interstate 45 edition. If you know what that means, that's from Houston to the H. You already know. So
Right.
Dallas Cowboys in Houston, Texas. So I got my guy Sean Bogle from the Red Dot Radio. He's been on the last show I think you were on was that Super Bowl game show we had. So definitely have to get you on before the draft is literally a week away. Are you excited? Because I am.
It's exciting times. It's good to be back. I love the show. Love listening to you. Love listening to all the guests you bring on. Appreciate you having me on. It's nothing but excitement at this point. It's like you're getting ready for Christmas. You don't know what you're gonna get, but you kind of think you know what you should get. So,
Yeah.
you're just keeping your fingers crossed at this point.
Yeah, you're hoping you're not getting some white socks.
Some work pants again. It's like, come on, mom, I already got that.
Man, there's been a couple of Cowboy drafts where I done got some work pants. I'm not gonna name drop anybody, but if you're a Cowboy fan, you already know some work pants and some tube socks we didn't had in the past.
It's some rinse and repeat action, that's for sure.
Yeah, yes, sir. So speaking of the draft, what is your most memorable draft moment? Like being at the draft, or just like a certain draft pick that y'all had? What is your most memorable?
That's a good question because we did a draft special last year with one of our podcasts for the squad, which is primarily, NFL, NBA, MLB, and covering the draft, as a producer, someone who's like creating content. It was a completely different experience. Like the preparation, the way that you thought about the picks before they happened, especially as a Houston Texans fan, it was crazy times last year. New head coach, no more Deshaun Watson. It was kind of like, what does the future look like? But I think the most memorable draft for me would be the year we drafted Deshaun Watson. Like I remember still being in college, going through, I think like a Black Student Union or some type of like organizational like ball or not gallery, but
I know what you're talking
you
about.
know what I'm talking about. Yeah, like some type
I
of,
remember it was.
award ceremony and stuff. And I remember just like I couldn't pay attention to the awards given out because all I was concerned about was who we were going to draft. And when we got to Deshaun Watson, everyone in that entire room kind of just went crazy. And it was kind of just like a collective, yes, like we did not screw this up. And it was like, it was only so many things we could have done, but that was by far the most happy I felt after the first round of a draft for sure.
I agree, and I just remember what it was. It's like Black Student Union. It was like when you graduate, and they had that big ceremony, and it was literally, it was like, not saying it was at the wrong time, but they picked it on the draft, and I know they didn't care.
Half the room was from Houston, so it wasn't a surprise when everybody got lit. Like it was exciting times, but here we are again, 5 years later, still in the same spot, hoping we can get the right quarterback, I guess.
Yes, sir. So speaking of, hey, that was a good transition because now, who would y'all like to get, and who would you not like to get with the second? We'll go with the second pick.
The second pick. Let's start there. I was talking to our producer for Red Dot Radio, Eric, before this show, before I came on, just kind of walking through my notes, trying to make sure that I didn't sound completely insane when I came on your podcast. But the player that we want is, I don't know. I can tell you the player we don't want to start off with.
Okay.
The three players we don't want to start off with. We don't want Anthony Richardson. We don't want Will Levis, and we don't want Hendon Hooker out of University of Tennessee. I imagine all three will be fine quarterbacks in the NFL, but Houston is not ready for that type of project yet. Now, the player that we want, half of Houston says we need to get a quarterback. If that's the direction we're going in, I think Bryce Young is the better pick. The reason is CJ Stroud has the same agent management, coverage as Deshaun Watson. So I kind of see that rinse and repeat we started off the show with. I don't want to do that again. So I would go either Bryce Young or I would go Will Anderson out of University of Alabama. I think he is the safest pick. I think he will be able to make an immediate impact on a young defense that's building with a new defensive head coach. Perfection. I don't see many things going wrong by taking Will Anderson or even Jalen Carter out of the University of Georgia, who had some off the field issues that are probably going to impact his draft stock. But going defense would not be a bad choice. That would probably be the best choice for the Texans, the
Yeah,
second pick.
I was going to ask you that, and I was literally having this conversation with one of my friends at lunch. He said, "What if they get Will Anderson instead?" I'm like, "Oh, that's actually a good idea because you have D'Amico Ryans, who's a Texan legend, of course, as a linebacker, and then he gets a hand on an edge rusher that can play a little bit of everything on there. Like that'd be a good pickup for y'all."
It's a lot of versatility. You can see the defense that's been built so far. It's been primarily on the back end. Like that's kind of where Houston has had more of its troubles year over year since Matt Schaub has been the quarterback. It's been the corners and the safety play. The focus should be the interior, the middle, the edges. Like we need a player to, solidify that JJ Watt, Jadavian Clowney. I don't even want to go Mario Williams, but like that type of build, like a guy that can rush off the edge, whether he's in the 3-point stance, 4-point stance, or standing straight up, like just that versatility.
And that's kind of what a little bit what Will Anderson could do. He could stand up and then put his hand in the dirt as well. So like that'd be a good pickup.
Yeah.
Uh, so I actually had the free agency looks that y'all did this all season. There's a couple of Cowboy familiar faces on there. I know y'all got Noah Brown on there,
Mm-hmm. Dalton
Dal-
Schultz.
Devin Singletary. So
Yep.
what are your thoughts about some of the free agency moves y'all did?
I think like low key, and this is why I'm not. This is one of the reasons why, as a Texans fan, I am not gung ho on going after a quarterback. We have probably had the best or top three off season out of all 32 teams this NFL. We've addressed major needs. We've been able to get marquee names for good deals, like Devin Singletary, Dalton Schultz. Like these are guys who were on the verge of Pro Bowler or if not Pro Bowler, and we got them for a great deal just to bolster what we already had. So I think we had the best offseason compared to all the other teams in our division. Um, it's been the best offseason we've had in a number of years. In addition to getting the head coach, I think really that was the tone setter was hiring D'Amico Ryans, him getting his staff in because we just needed a change. Like it just felt like everything in the building was very temporary. You didn't know, was Lovie Smith the guy, how long his years were going to be there. The team is invested. And now that they've invested, you can tell they're starting to make more long-term decisions. So let's not be so quick to get a quarterback when there hasn't been a quarterback to go to the Super Bowl as a rookie since Dan Marino. So it's like let's give it some time. Let's be patient with it because when you look at the Texans receiver wise, running back wise, tight end wise, defensive back wise, and now even offensive line wise, if you want to look at some of these new additions, we are pretty much a B or better in every position. Like you can win at least 4 to 6 games with this roster. Let's not go after something that's going to kill it. Let's keep the ball moving.
You definitely see more of a 360 now with a D'Amico Ryans because you're seeing that they're actually making moves. Because before that, you had the 1 year deal type of coaches. It was Lovie Smith last year, and then I can't from what was the coach?
David Culley.
Yeah, like the most likable coaches in the world. Like
just a player's coach, a guy who is going to be there late, but it's been crazy. But the talk around Houston, and this is kind of the irony in all the situation. Since Bill O'Brien left, we've had a new general manager, and I think just from a football perspective, he's done an unbelievable job
yeah,
being able to transition from the best quarterback in franchise history, Deshaun Watson, to what we have now. It's pretty remarkable that we haven't been even worse. But if he doesn't hit right on this draft, it's amazing because people are calling for his job. And I think a lot of it is because of the fans, a lot of it is because of the revenue income. But I don't think that should be, the bar. Like I don't think we should be counting how many seats are filled to determine how successful he's been because he inherited a huge problem. So if we're able to double our wins from last year, yeah, I know it's not a lot. I think he should be able to keep his job. I don't think that he should be fired if we don't draft a quarterback and we only win 4 games.
Yeah, and it seemed like that's probably not going to be the deal because there's so much investment that's been going on in Houston, and I'm noticing it too. And I'm like, okay, I think honestly, D'Amico Ryan's doesn't get the fair share of like this first year. It may not be the year that what fans want to see, but I think he'll at least get 1 to 2 more years, and then if they don't make the playoffs, maybe they'll make that transition to another coach. But I don't think he's gonna be a 1 year type of coach.
No, no. I think he's going to be here for a few years, but I do think, and I think I said this last time I came on around the Super Bowl, that is one of my fears for D'Amico Ryans. Not necessarily Nick Caserio, the general manager, because he's been here for 3, 4 years now, but by them drafting a quarterback at number 2, like let's just say they do go that route, you're putting him and his coaching staff in an unbelievable position. A lot of people will say, hey, Sean, that's not fair. They're professionals. They're getting paid millions. He should be able to hire between a quarterback's coach, an offensive coordinator, someone who could develop a quarterback. My perspective is this is his first time ever coaching as a head coach. So why would you apply that pressure to develop a quarterback when that is not in his scope? He's never developed a quarterback. He's always been on the defense. So let him build his defense and then put yourself in a position to get that quarterback, because let Houston get a quarterback and that quarterback not develop well, it's going to be on D'Amico Ryans. Like they're going to tie that quarterback's development to D'Amico the same way they've tied Kyler Murray to Cliff Kingsbury and so many other
Yeah.
young quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah. And there could be a possibility. Maybe go into next year looking at a quarterback. That could be a situation where you're looking at Drake May and Caleb Williams, of course. Those that could be a possibility.
Yeah, especially with both of those guys being like, if they came out this year, they would have been probably number 1 and 1 through 3 or
Yeah.
1 and 3. So yeah, I think there isn't a lot of pressure, especially because we're right now looking up at Jacksonville. So my primary concern or focus as Houston is how do we apply pressure to Trevor Lawrence? How do we make the Jacksonville Jaguars not as effective as they were last year? Because they're only going to get better with more years under that coach. Their offense is only going to get better. So our defense has got to be ready.
Yeah, and I after seeing what Trevor Lawrence did to my Cowboys and then what he did with the Chargers, I'm like, he's become something nasty for
They're
this.
serious. He's pretty serious.
Yeah, I heard a couple people say he's kind of like Peyton Manning with long hair and a scrambling ability. So I'm like,
That's scary.
yeah, it is. But man, but next thing I want to talk about is that we were just talking about for the show is your NFL draft special. This is y'all's second annual one, so let the audience know about details more about it.
Definitely. I mentioned it in the first part, but this is going to be our second annual draft special. So from Red Dot Radio, that's the umbrella company. We have multiple podcasts. Our main sports affiliated podcast is For the Squad. It includes myself as host, our 2 co-hosts, JT Jacoby and Drew Travers, as well as our producer, Eric Heinrich. And this is our second annual draft day special. Last year when we did it, had a tremendous turnout as far as people tuning in, people commenting, people giving their draft picks. We cover the entire first round of the NFL draft. So Thursday, April 27th this year, we will be live streaming on YouTube the entire first round coverage from every pick 1 through 32, specifically honing in on Houston, Dallas, some of the big names, but trying to give our reactions, our predictions, and what does that mean. So it's an awesome experience. It's almost like a watch party environment where it's fun and intense, but at the same time very relaxed, like not so much Super Bowl. And so you get everything. I remember last year we were at the draft party at Herman Park in Houston, Texas, and there were just fans from all teams. And we had a New York Giants fan walk by, and she
Wow.
was with her husband, and we were like, "Who should y'all draft?" She was like, "I don't know. I just know we need an offensive lineman." So you just get all types of personalities, takes, and all that good stuff. So check it out. It's For the Squad on YouTube, airing April 27th, starting at 7 p.m. I believe that's when the draft starts. We'll be there all night.
I appreciate you for letting everybody know. I actually do have the link going on Facebook Live, so y'all definitely go check out their link tree so y'all can be informed when they got lives and new episodes coming out. I actually did get to listen to your episode last week with Lionel. That was
Yes.
a really good episode y'all had.
Yes, that was a good one. That was through the main flagship Red Dot Radio podcast, Inspiration to Inspire. One of our former, friends and, just day ones from Texas Lutheran days. And
Yes,
it's
sir.
always good to see people growing and just doing stuff more with what we got. So I love it.
Absolutely. So now we're getting into the nitty gritty. This is why I did a PFF because they only let me do 3 rounds unless I pay for it. I think I forgot how much the description is, but I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Like I know it's a
They
pretty
always, right? They nickel and dime as usual.
always. It's one of the better ones, but yeah, they're always trying to nickel and dime it. So we're gonna do 3 rounds, and let me make sure there's okay. So of course y'all gonna go first, but you got 2 picks, and then how many picks y'all got in the second and third? Just one.
No, we have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. So I think
All
it's
right.
like 2, 2, and then 1, or 2, 1, and then 2.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna get this going. Let's see. So on the clock. So you're on the clock.
Damn.
Bryce Young got drafted.
Bryce Young got drafted. CJ Stroud is the guy everyone wants us to take, but he has the same agent as Deshaun Watson. So do you really think we're gonna go through it? I think we will. Houston Texans select CJ Stroud as the number 2 overall pick.
Okay, it was CJ Stroud
Yes.
out. You're
Yep.
back on the clock.
We are at 12, and just as most Houston fans predict, it's the same Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase belief. If we could get Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State at the number 12 to pair with CJ Stroud, that would be beautiful on top of a good running game. So with the 12th pick, the Houston Texans take Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. A good 1-2 combo that puts us immediately on the map.
Oh, that'll be a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, dang. So my Cowboys are on the board, and I know a lot of talk been about Michael Mayer, but honestly, I feel like Michael Mayer is basically Jason Witten 2.0. And I feel like we need to go on a different route when it comes to tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I know that the main one is like if he's on the board, Jerry Jones wants to make those dollars, and one player on this board that really make those jersey sales is Bijan Robinson out of Texas. So
Yep.
we're gonna select Bijan Robinson with the 26th overall pick. You're back on the board.
Back on the board. And I'll get
Sir.
your perspective on that because I think he's a fascinating player. But moving into the second round, Houston has addressed their quarterback needs, receiver needs. I think at this point, we go after a defensive edge rusher or an outside linebacker. Let's see who we got up there. Let's see.
I'm gonna look on the
Yeah, let's go to defensive end or edge rusher. Yeah, let's see who they got. Let's take the kid from LSU, BJ Ojulari. I've been
that's a good
hearing
one.
his name a lot. I can see Houston going that route, especially because we got Derek Stingley in the first round last year from LSU. So I can see them trying to stay SEC on the defensive side of the ball.
There's nothing wrong with that. Now we're back on the board. So there's a couple of guys that were a top 30 visit. Drew Sanders, who's basically another Michael Parsons 2.0 from Arkansas. He's got that size, that speed, and he's basically another chess piece, and I'd like to have him on there. But there's another one I see right there, Zach Charbonnet. But we already got Bijan Robinson. So
True.
see,
Yeah, that would be a good one, Zach Charbonnet. I don't think he has the same NFL explosion as BJ, but he's good.
yeah, he could be that short yardage type of guy. He may not bust out for those big yards, but he can get those short yards and be that goal line back and wear out a defensive line. I definitely would like him if we don't get Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
There's another guy that catches my eye, John Michael Schmitz, he played at center and guard. I don't know if you watched film on him, but he's Big Ten, tough, physical.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be nice to have him on at the left guard next to Tyler Smith at left tackle. But honestly, I think the pick I'm going with, I don't know if he'll be there in the second round, but if he's there, I'm gonna go Drew Sanders out of Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't press the so.
Because you guys always have a pretty stacked defense, but I know you guys love the depth.
Oh yeah, and that's it's been a long time since we ever took like so much care into looking at building depth on the defense because it always used to be offense, but now they understand we need to make sure the defense is good because we deal with a lot of injuries with our defense.
Yes. Yes. So back with Houston, I think Houston has 2 picks this round. Just as a FYI, I don't think Houston will use both of these picks in the actual draft. I think Houston will end up trading one of these picks. I think we have like a total of 10 or 11
Oh yeah,
picks. So there's no reason for us to use all these picks. We can package this with the Brandon Cooks or someone, give someone, a good package. But the a need that Houston definitely needs is offensive line. I don't know if right now Jalen Duncan out of Maryland is still available, or if the kid. Yeah, let's see.
oh he's actually there.
He actually is there. Let's see if. Yeah, that would be the kid that we take first.
Jalen.
Jalen Duncan. Yep, out of Maryland.
Okay, that's
A lot
actually
of good
a really good one.
things. And then the second pick, I think they would probably want to go back defense. Like I said, I don't think they'll actually use this pick, but another need for us is cornerback. So I would probably go Garrett Williams out of Syracuse, or if he was available, I know he's not, the kid from Baylor, Saki Ika, but I don't think he's available. But let's see if Garrett Williams from Syracuse, is he?
Uh, they drafted him.
They got him already. Okay, then another offensive lineman would be from Georgia, Warren McClendon. If he's not drafted, let's see. They're getting on my guys.
Yeah, let me see. They have sometimes they have certain players at different positions. Let me see.
True.
Because I did get to see some in film. I actually like what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there he is.
Yep.
You going Warren McClendon?
Yep. Warren
All right.
McClendon.
Ain't nothing wrong with getting the O line depth.
Yeah.
Sure.
Houston needs it, especially if we're going to run it back, or if we run it back with the guy we had, if we use Case Keenum, who we re-signed this offseason, or with a rookie. We'll need to make sure he stays off the ground.
Absolutely. So, with the 90 overall pick, I'm seeing. I think you know what. I know we just got Brandon Cooks, and we have Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb, but we don't have that fourth receiver.
Mm.
And I'm looking at Cedric Tillman as a pick, but we didn't solidify the offensive line. So there's a guy on here. They still been kind of lowballing this guy, but I think they're very highly on, and that's Antonio Mafi out of UCLA, a former nose tackle, very physical type of guard. He definitely fits our zone scheme. They don't utilize how he could be in the pool and at UCLA. I think in this offense as a left guard, he would definitely do a great job. He's gonna have his ups and downs, but a lot of our offensive linemen that we're trying to develop, they usually go to Duke Mayweather, who is an offensive guru, and literally his training facility is like down the street from the Star. So I think that would definitely help him being there. But I see him as our pick in the third round. So both of us are getting into the offensive line depth as well. So
Yeah. I think once you get to that point, you're where you actually need to be. You get all the flashy picks, the picks that are going to make the people excited, but you got to draft for need.
absolutely.
You can't make it without the depth.
So we'll go with this is the Texans mock draft, and I honestly could see this actually happen for y'all. Like
Yeah.
That would be a good pickup. They don't have the grades on here, but I
I
actually
think, yeah, that's pretty solid. Like I said, at when we're sitting at number 2, my entire belief of this first round is Indianapolis. I believe Indianapolis holds the key to make this draft crazy. Indianapolis is picking at 4. I could totally see Indianapolis coming to Houston and trading that 4th pick for like a DeForest Buckner or just another pick to get CJ Stroud. If they do that, that takes the pressure off of us. We don't need to draft a quarterback at that point. We can just draft best available player. Um, and yeah, I mean, we won't have the quarterback we want, but we will continue to get better in that respect.
absolutely.
And
Oh, my bad. What were we gonna?
oh, I wanted to I didn't know if you were ready to flip to Dallas, but I was going to ask about the Bijan pick. What is your perspective on how he can play a role in Dallas? Because, the whole Zeke situation, trying to figure that out. Is he the answer, or do you think he is maybe a long-term answer?
When it comes to running back now, I think after what we had with Zeke, I think he'd be like that 5-year plan, which is a long term when it comes to running back. And I know when they didn't sign Tony Pollard to a full year, they gave him a franchise tag. It's kind of like I honestly think they're going to do what they did to Dalton Schultz. He's going to do that 1 year, and then they're going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go in the next year looking at another running back. You got Bijan Robinson, who basically can be a receiver, can pass block. He does basically a little bit of everything. Sometimes you'll see him run. Sometimes he won't break out for the big yards when he can. But one thing I always notice about when he gets tackled, he always leans forward. Some running backs will always go back, but he's like, you know what, I'm gonna try to get that extra 1 to 2 inches or a couple of that yard that the team needs. And that's what I like about Bijan Robinson at 26. Do I think he's gonna be there? It's kind of in the air because you got so many teams that would want him, and I had this weird feeling the Eagles would do it.
I've been hearing Philly wants him.
Yeah, and I think he has the same agent as Jalen Hurts. Don't quote me on that, but I think that could be a thing. And
Yeah.
Bijan twice.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I would say, he's a very talented back. I don't think it's a little weird because I've heard both things about him. I've heard he's underhyped, but I've also heard Bijan's overhyped. Like I've heard that if Bijan played 10 years ago, he would have easily been a top 5 pick.
I agree.
But when I watched him this past year, he didn't show me that he was a top 5 pick. Like there were certain games, specifically the Bama game, and I think there was another game when I was waiting for him to have that Heisman moment, like a Reggie Bush type, but he just didn't. And maybe it wasn't his fault. Maybe that's just the way the game went. The plays were called, but he didn't take over as many games as I thought a top 5 running back would. Like I remember Zeke at Ohio State. He took over playoffs, national championship. Like you could see it. I just didn't get that impression from Bijan, but ultra talented without a doubt.
That's a good point, and that's why you can see him going later in the rounds because a lot of people have that top 10 pick, but you brought up a good point. You're looking at film from Bama, and there's a couple other games I'm trying to think. You didn't see that big time plays that he was doing, but that could be in question. But I noticed the latest one they said was him going to the Falcons. That'd be pretty interesting to see him with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and
who's their quarterback, Ritter?
Yeah, I think it's Ritter. I have to think about it. It's like,
I don't think they have Mariota anymore.
No, Mariota's with the Eagles now, so they're gonna probably do something with that.
Give a little Philly special.
Oh yeah, that's a given. That's why they got him. They're gonna try to do some little gimmicky things with Mariota like they did with the Raiders.
How did you feel about Jalen Hurts' new contract? Did you feel as if he deserved it, or do you think it was premature?
It was premature, to be honest with you, because you just seen 1 year, and what you're gonna see next year is because now he was the second leading rusher on the team. Like what if they're gonna be teams that are utilize their fast guy like a Michael Parson who's gonna come as that spy and try to that's gonna stop him. What is he gonna do then when he can't utilize his legs like he did last year?
Mm-hmm.
But I think honestly, they're like, you know what? If we wait, what if he has? I think they're in the what if situation. They're like, oh, what if he has another great year and then we got to pay him even more?
More. Exactly. Because I could see them in a Lamar Jackson situation. That's what I
Yeah,
feel like they were trying to avoid, where they were like, he's entering the last year of his deal. Don't let him get hurt or go off even more, because then he's going to hold us hostage for everything.
absolutely. And then what if a team like the Bengals sign Joe Burrow to a big contract, and then you're like, dang, now we got to pay him more than Joe Burrow, and you're like,
Or Justin Herbert.
yeah, Justin Herbert as well. Oh, if Justin Herbert gets the big contract,
I can't. It's going to happen, and it's going to
yeah,
annoy me.
yeah. There's so many Justin Herbert truthers out there that I like. He's a really talented quarterback, but it's just like he hasn't did anything in the playoffs. Like I
I,
know,
I would have had more respect if he would have been able to beat the Jaguars this past year. But the fact that they couldn't do that, he's in the same he's in the same, group as Ryan Tannehill for me. Like, good, but just not good enough yet.
yeah, I think honestly his career is going to be kind of like how they had with Phillip Rivers, but he's a more mobile quarterback. He's going to have these big yard games, but I just think they're just going to be in that what's it called it, just in the middle type of team. They're going to sign these guys. You're like, oh, this is their year, but it's just like they get kicked out of the first round. They're like suburgatory or whatever how you say the word.
Literally the purgatory. Like,
Purgatory.
they'll never, like, as long as he's quarterback, I don't see them beating Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality. Like, I don't see them beating Kansas City. And that's what you got to do to come out that division.
And that's honestly going to be their kryptonite is Kansas City. Kansas City is not going to budge as long as Andy Reid's there, and they're going to keep revamping. Honestly, I have a strange feeling one of these receivers like Zay Flowers or Josh Downs is going to be in Kansas City. That's what they're going to do with the 31st overall pick. Just like, oh, we don't have Tyreek Hill, but we got Zay Flowers, Sky Moore, Tony.
Just a
Kelsey,
bunch
of
of
course.
track guys at receiver.
Man, just wearing out secondaries because they can't stop 4-3s and 4-4s.
And that makes the defense a lot easier. Like, you don't have to get the best players. You just have to get players who can make plays and, hold it down when you really need it. Like, you don't need the perfect defense when you got an offensive like that.
Yeah, because their offense, they got players that fit each situation they need. Like even down running backs, they don't have like the superstar run, but they got running back by committee. And you've seen that. It's like I think that's where the route a lot of what the NFL is going towards. You don't have to have the superstar running back. You could, as long as you have 3 good solid ones, you could do it. You can go to the Super Bowl. It's just like
we don't run the ball isn't run enough for that to be like the significant tipping point. Like you just said, the Eagles were able to make it to the Super Bowl with their quarterback as their second leading rusher. Like, even if you're able to add your running back as your quarterback as one of those running backs, like, it's going to do wonders. And I think that's one of the things about this year's draft that is kind of surprising to me. Like, when you look at all the quarterbacks that they're highlighting, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, none of them are truly escape artists. Like, they can run. They have the ability to be mobile, but that's not a skill or a strong suit, except for Anthony Richardson. And this is something that has literally caught me off guard. And I think a lot of football fans, when the college football season ended last year, I had no thought that Anthony Richardson would even sniff the first round. And, one of the co-hosts on our podcast for the squad, Drew Travers, always mentions the quarterback market is so inflated that quarterbacks are taking rounds, not picks, but rounds before they should. And a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, I can see the upside. Like, I can see it. He is a baby Cam Newton.
I was going to say that.
But the production at the college level, like, there has been nothing. And he played at a school like Florida. Like, Cam gave you flashes. He gave you a Heisman. He gave you a Natty. Like, he gave you reasons to believe. Same with Jameis Winston. Same with, Lamar, Deshaun. There was nothing that Anthony Richardson did that made you say, wow, when he gets to the next level, no one's going to be able to stop that. Like, all we said was he's a good athlete. Like, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he could throw. But that doesn't equate to automatic success in the NFL. And the fact that the media has pushed him and has pushed his stock up so much, I pray that a team like Houston doesn't get him and that he falls to a team like Seattle, because it's like, you inject him into the starting lineup, that could be a disaster for both him and the team. And it's just because the market for quarterbacks have been so inflated, where we're taking them too early, we're paying them too early, and we're paying them too much. And it's like, haven't you seen Tom Brady? Like, how many times does he have to get his deal restructured to get another ring for people to realize, like, it's not about the money. Like, you need someone who's going to take the team friendly deal.
Yeah. And another thing when it comes to the draft, there's one thing that they love in the media is if they have a big, strong arm, or they have or like you said, very athletic quarterback, but they don't look at what. Can you name a game where they're like in these clutch moments, or is the production there? That's what you got to look at. Is the production consistent? Is there one game? Well, if they're playing against some small school and they go off, but they played against Alabama, they're struggling. You got to look into that. Like, you don't look, oh, he's 6'5", but he runs a 4.4. That's nice, but what does he? He's not. I'm not looking for a track run. I'm looking for a quarterback that's going to lead my team.
Correct. And it's like the media types and these organizations fall in love with the perception and the marketing and it's like, but damn well in 2 seasons you're going to be ready to run them out of town. So, like, why, it's like insanity doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. When are these teams going to learn?
Yeah, never. I always hear from a lot of podcasts out there. They say there's teams that draft dumb, so that's going to happen. I honestly would like him to see him in Seattle. He could be behind Geno Smith, who you seen what Geno Smith did being under Russell Wilson for a couple of years. Now we're saying, okay, there's a resurgence in Geno Smith, but he's 32 years old now. But it's good to see him on the ups. But having Anthony Richardson behind him would be perfect. But
yeah,
he's gonna get drafted by a team where they're gonna throw him out into the wolves, just like with Will Levis. Those guys need to be on a team where they could be a backup for a couple years. And when it comes to Hendon Hooker, very talented quarterback, but he's coming off that ACL. I just don't want to see him week 1 being out there. And ACLs take that 1.5 to 2 years. They're not Adrian Petersons that just recover in 6 months. And like that's just once in a blue moon type of guys.
Right. And he's going to be in his first year in the NFL, trying to impress people, impress his teammates. And it's like, he's going to put so much more pressure on himself that he might re-injure it. And let's not forget, because, I was a fan of Hendon Hooker. I actually was pro Hendon Hooker during the season until I found out his age. And it's not that I have, I discriminate towards older players, but I can't draft a 25, 26-year-old the same way I draft a 21, 22-year-old. And it's like, he's 24, 25, 26, however old he is. Plus he's coming off of a nasty injury. His body is really the age of a 28, 29-year-old. And you're drafting him as if he's 22. Like, I think those are the type of guys that you get as a steal late or undrafted. I mean, it sucks to say because he was such a good player, but his value is not as high as some of these other guys.
Yeah, and you just like you're saying about the age. That's the thing. You think about the contract. You're going to sign him in the first round. You're going to sign him to 4 to 5 years. So, what age is he going to be when that next contract comes up? You're going to be like, ooh, that's. Mm-hmm. And how's it going to be in those 5 years? Because you're looking at an ACL injury. And you're like,
those aren't easy to come back from.
They're not. It takes time, and I think that's the bad thing that a team's going to try to have him as QB1 day one. It's like, no, take your time with that. But like we were saying, teams sometimes suck at drafting, and there's going to be that team. Don't you? I don't know if you've seen where they had him to the Titans, and that's my biggest worry.
Ooh, Anthony Richardson.
And Hendon Hooker, I seen that
Okay,
one.
Hendon Hooker to Tennessee. So, as a Texans fan, I'm very intrigued at what Tennessee's trying to do because when you look at the division as a whole, it's very attainable. Like, you look at other divisions and it's like, you got to go through that person or
Yeah,
that person has been dominant for so long. The AFC South, okay, yes, Jacksonville is cream of the crop right now. They got
yeah,
the most swag, the best young players. But 2 through 4 is up in the air. Like Tennessee on paper could very well still be the best division. Yet the organization is unwilling to move on from Tannehill. I don't know why. Like, I have no idea. Well, like, that is what single handedly keeping us relevant, that they still have him as their quarterback. And I could totally see Tennessee going after a Hooker or even a Will Levis or, trying to even re sign someone because it's like, you got to make a switch. Like, you got to do something. Like, if you realistically think your fans are going to stick by another year where Ryan Tannehill starts, gets hurt, and then basically Derrick Henry has to carry the team, Derrick Henry is going to request a trade before it's late. So they got to get another quarterback in there. And I really don't think Hooker's the right choice personally because I don't know. Like, I feel like, it makes sense being from Tennessee, but I
yeah.
just worry the physicality in which that team plays with if his knee will be able to hold up because we know Tannehill couldn't. Like, he could never stay healthy.
Yeah, they're one. They kind of run that old school run and gun type of offense. And honestly, there's one quarterback that is actually possibly on the trade market. I could see them going for is a Trey Lance out of San Francisco. That I feel like be a better option. I know he coming off injury, but it's not an AC. I forget what injury it was, but I could see him on that
Yeah, it
offense.
was either like an ankle or maybe it was like something lower, like not
Yeah,
not the knee.
I think it was the ankle. I think
Yeah,
it
but
was. Oh my bad.
no, I was gonna say, what do you think about San Francisco's situation heading into the draft because they're sitting on a lot of gold right now.
Yeah, right now I know they're in the third. I think they don't draft into the third, but they could honestly get some trades going on where they can get back at least day two. Like you looking at the at a Trey Lance's trade capital. I'm trying to think. There's some other players that they could do to try
Did
to get back
did
there.
they ever release Jimmy G? Where's Jimmy G?
Oh, he's with the Raiders now.
Right. Okay, that's what I knew he was with somebody. So right now, the 3 quarterbacks they have: Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold. They picked
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I don't think all 3 are going to be there.
I don't.
I don't know. I think Trey Lance may get traded, but you would be a fool to do it. Especially if San Francisco is talking about like, oh, give us a first or second rounder for him. Like, I wouldn't give anything up earlier than a fourth for Trey Lance. Like, he hasn't shown me enough to warrant a first or second round trade value. Like, no
Yeah,
team should be trading.
yeah. It's got. I think the highest would be if your third is like in the late, but not no early third. He's like you're saying he's at fourth because you don't have enough film in the NFL for me to like. You know what? I'm gonna give my round two. Definitely not a round one for Trey Lance, but I honestly think I think the 49ers are looking at it like this, like, oh, we got Brock Purdy had a really great year, but he's coming off a injury usually baseball players have on his throwing arm. So you don't know if you're getting the same guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're it's not that they're getting old or anything because Brandon Ayuk is still young,
Yeah,
Debo's still pretty young, but Christian McCaffrey isn't young.
yeah,
Kittle isn't that young. So it's like that window is slowly closing. And you can anticipate without D'Amico Ryans and some of the coaching staff, the team may not be the same. So it'll be a little tougher this year for San Francisco for sure.
yeah. Especially those are like some of the big key losses is D'Amico Ryans. Then they lost part of their offensive staff because I know they got one of their offensive assistants, y'all offensive coordinator, who is a pretty known one that a lot of people are thinking about becoming the offensive coordinator. So yeah, they're in an interesting situation, and I want to see what they do in the draft and see what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be pretty fun to see what the 49ers are gonna do. It's kind of funny. Both Texas teams are talking about a West Coast team.
Right. And I had one more team that I wanted to get through before you go to the next section to wrap it up. The team who started off this draft with the number 1 overall pick, because I think this is a very interesting draft. The Chicago Bears started with the number 1 overall pick and traded back with Carolina, I believe.
Yeah.
If Justin Fields does not turn out this year, that may be the worst trade in Bears history, because now they're left with Justin Fields, which they have to give up, and a quarterback. Well, maybe it won't be the worst thing because there is Caleb Williams and the guys coming out next year. But what would you do there? Because like I said, I read something earlier that was showing David Mills, quarterback for the Texans, having very similar numbers to Justin Fields, someone who's perceived as completely a different level, different player, different ability, but it's like from a production standpoint, they're on the same page.
Yeah, and I see that. It's just the Bear, like you're saying, it could be a bad idea what they did, but it's just when it comes to the Bears offense, it's never really been there. It's always been like they have a really good defense, but the defense has kind of been pretty iffy for the past couple of years. It's like I think honestly they need to just improve on like overall on the offense, like when it comes to offensive line, because you can't just utilize just Justin Fields' legs, because there are some times where I've seen he would just get demolished in games. And what honestly, if I was them, I'd be looking at a Peter Skoronsky at the 9th overall pick, or one of these offensive linemen. I know it's not the sexy pick, but it'd be a pick that would definitely help them out on the offensive line.
Definitely. If you're a Chicago fan, knowing Aaron Rodgers is on his way out, knowing Detroit is good but not great, this is your chance. Like, if you can hit this draft, Chicago could be the team, in that division for years to come.
I definitely agree. And when it comes to that division, it always used to be the Green Bay. And honestly, you're gonna probably see Aaron Rodgers get traded during the draft. I'm to the Jets. I think it's finally just gonna happen.
Yeah.
And now it's just wide open. It's between Detroit and the Vikings. I think they're kind of like at that little cusp at where that playoff window's gonna be closing, and then that third team could be the Bears.
Yep.
They just got to, like you're saying, they got to just draft smart. They got a good general manager. He got a good resume. They just need to improve.
Yes.
That whole offense and defense. It's just they have, like, when it comes to needs, it's just like there's not a certain, like they could do better at all sides of the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking up. They got Minnesota taking a tackle. I have no faith in Minnesota ever, like none. I have all the faith in Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson could have been the MVP last year, but as long as Kirk Cousins is quarterback, no faith. They could go 16-0. I'll still pick them to lose in the first round.
Yeah, it's just curious how Kirk Cousins could ball out at 12 o'clock, but if it's prime time. It's weird.
It's like his medicine wears off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he kind of. I'm not gonna over roast Kirk Cousins today. I did that at lunch today at Doug.
And I gotta stay off of him now.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be one of his cousins might pop up on here. No pun intended on that one, but yes, sir. But hey, this has been a really good show, bro. I'm definitely got to get you back on. Possibly after the draft, just to get your opinion of what you thought of the Texans, who they drafted, and overall just the draft. But before I let you go, is there anything that you got going on beside the draft special going on?
Nothing too crazy. Again, appreciate you, Aaron, for having me on. I love this podcast. I can't wait to have you on. We're definitely going to have you on for the squad, our podcast under Red Dot Radio, to talk about the Cowboys selections and what does all of this mean for the long-awaited Cowboys championship to return to Dallas. But, as far as Red Dot Radio goes, I appreciate you giving me the platform. We recently just got our first sponsor. It's Colton Crit. It's a custom woodwork. So if you are someone who loves cornhole or charcuterie, I always mess that word up, or just cutting boards, any type of wood-based item, coasters, cups, whatever, we have the vendor for you. They make custom work. They include LED lights. They can include team logos, your names, pictures, whatever you want. We have a great promotion going on right now with Colton Crit, where if you order something and use the promo code Red Dot, you get 15% off your order. It helps the page. It helps the company. It helps everyone. Again, the sponsor's name is Colton Crit. The website to visit is coltcrit.com. If you want any other information, you go on our Instagram page, TikTok at reddotradioinc, and we'll have all the information there. But appreciate you giving me the space, and I can't wait to text you throughout this next week about how you think this draft is going to go down.
Oh, absolutely. And I butchered it, but I think it's charcuterie.
It is. Charcuterie. I can't remember if the is at the beginning or the end, but it's somewhere.
I used to butcher it worse, and then we'd have to bleep it what I used to say it was. Let's leave it at that. But another thing, I definitely got hit them up because I definitely want a new cornhole in the front yard or something going on. So
and they're nice. They I can't even lie. Like, I'm not the hugest cornhole guy, but when you see them, you're like, damn, I think I need one just to have it as decoration. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely check out that site, but and then you can check out on what's the website again?
Colt Crit, COLTCRIT.com. And if you're looking for the direct link for the discount, it's the same website, coltcrit.com/discount/red dot, or you just go to the main website, get the items you want, put in your basket, and when you're going to check out, promo code red dot, REDDOT, one word, all caps.
Sure. I'll make sure to check out Colton Crit and then Red Dot Radio as well. I do got the link where you can check out their link tree and check out all the platforms. You can check out their podcasts and other things as well. This has been Tacos Touchdown live on a Thursday. Y'all have a good one. Peace.